What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. And this time, we're going to be taking a look at The Haunting, directed by Robert Wise. The Haunting tells the story of these five researchers that go to Hill House and are pretty much researching the paranormal activity that go on in said house. Now, The Haunting is a really good haunted house ghost story. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I like it. I think it's a really good slow burn horror film. Now it does have areas in it where it does drag on for a little bit and it can get kind of boring in a lot of areas, but for the most part this movie does captivate your attention and you got really good solid performances by all the actors in this movie. You have really great direction by Robert Wise. Like I said, he goes for a very slow burn approach, but he has a really good visual style with this movie. This movie's got really unique visuals for the time, and it's almost as if Robert Wise is forcing the viewer to see certain things against their will with a lot of his visual style, with a lot of visual cues in this movie, which I think is actually really, really creative and adds a lot to the overall creepy atmosphere and suspense this movie does has, which I think Robert Wise again does exponentially well. And also, like I said, I think the cast in this movie is actually really, really solid. I thought every actor does their role fantastically. The standout in this movie is Julie Harris, who plays the character of Eleanor, and Eleanor is the person who is strongly attached to Hill House. Now, before I talk about Eleanor and her attachment to Hill House, to give you a brief story, Hill House was built by a man named Hugh Crane, and once the house was built, a series of unfortunate events started to occur. Uh, his two wives that he married while building this house, one wife died on her way to the house. The second wife also died. Her a nanny died. His daughter went insane in the house. So the Hill House, had a lot of unfortunate events happen with inside those walls with the man with Hugh Crane and his family. And the movie never really specifies why Eleanor gets so attached to this house and why the house wants Eleanor. She's just really infatuated by this house. And when you look at this house, the overall design of this house has got that classic, creepy, haunted house feel. It's very Victorian in a way. It's very foreboding. And it's a character all into itself, which is what I really, really like, especially in haunted house movies. The house itself needs to be its own distinct character. And this movie does just that. This house, once you see this house, it'll be etched in your brain. It has that very distinct style and look to it. And especially when we travel to parts of this house, it gives a lot of creepy vibes, and especially when you go into like this atrium area where we see a lot of these tall statues of Hugh Crane and of other people and his wives. It's very foreboding. It's very intimidating when you're looking at it through the character's point of view. So I like all that stuff. Now, to get back to Eleanor and why she's more of a standout character in this movie, now Eleanor has herself a very troubled backstory, and it's kind of left her weak-minded in a way, if you will, which is why which is why she becomes very, very attached to this house, and I think it's why the foreboding, ghostly ambiance of this house kind of attaches itself onto her, and it kind of drives her insane. But I like how the movie never shows the ghosts. It kind of leaves it up to your imagination as to whether Eleanor is going insane, just going insane in general, or if the house it really is, or if the house really is, coming wanting to possess her in a way, for lack of a better word. So I like how we don't get no clear answers. I like how it's left all to the imagination. That's the mark of a really good horror director when you do stuff like that. Now, while I think Eleanor's a good character, and she is, the other characters in this movie are good too. The character of Luke, I actually like a lot, and I thought he had a lot of humorous moments. I like the character of Theo, and I like the relationship she has with Nell, and I like how this movie kind of plays Theo as having lesbian tendencies, but it's really subtle with it. It's not really in your face. It kind of makes slight little hints that she might have some romantic feelings towards Eleanor, but it never really comes out with it. But you can tell by the way she looks at Eleanor and her body language that there's maybe something going on with her. So I like how the movie kept it very, very vague and very, very subtle without throwing it in your face. I appreciate stuff like that. And I also like the character of John Markway, who is the doctor and leader of this group, who is the head of this paranormal activity, of this paranormal research group. I like that. I like his character too. I thought his character was pretty good. So yeah, overall, this movie has got everything that you want in a good haunted house ghost story. It's got a good slow burn pacing. Though again, I iterate, it can drag on for a while, and some parts can be a little tedious to sit through. But when this movie gets going with the scares, it really gets going and it's very, very entertaining. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on The Haunting. Overall, I like this movie. I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. This is a really good haunted house horror movie. If you've never seen this movie, I suggest you check it out because it's really worth watching. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? I would like to know. Like this video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.